Welcome to Uncorking the Issues, the podcast where we pour clarity into Temecula Valley politics. I'm your host, Grapevine. This podcast discusses political and civic issues. The views expressed are solely those of the host and guests and do not represent any political party, campaign, school district, or government entity. This podcast is not affiliated with any public office or governing body. Today's episode is called Putting Students First, the Caregiver Law and School Board Accountability. We're talking about California's caregiver law, how it is meant to protect children, and how the actions and rhetoric of some Temecula Valley Unified School District school board members are undermining that protection and putting real students at risk. This is not about personalities. This is about responsibility. And it's about what happens when school board leadership loses sight of who schools are meant to serve. Let's begin with the law itself, because clarity matters. California's caregiver law allows parents, including immigrant parents, to voluntarily designate a temporary caregiver in advance if they are suddenly unavailable due to detention or deportation. The caregiver can handle basic responsibilities, enrolling a child in school, authorizing medical care, and ensuring day-to-day stability. This law does not transfer custody. It does not terminate parental rights. It does not require schools to collect immigration information. It does not force participation. It is a contingency plan, a safety measure, a child-centered policy designed to prevent chaos when a family experiences sudden crisis. That's the purpose. Now let's talk about Temecula Valley Unified School District. The district serves a diverse student population. That includes children in mixed status families, children living with extended relatives, and children whose parents face legal or economic instability. These students are already navigating stress that most adults never experience. When a parent is detained unexpectedly, schools are often the first institution forced to respond. Attendance drops. Emergency contacts can't authorize pickup. Medical consent becomes unclear. Administrators scramble. And children feel the disruption immediately. This law was designed to prevent exactly that. But instead of preparing to implement it responsibly, some Temecula Valley Unified School District school board members have chosen to politicize it. And that choice has consequences. Certain board members repeatedly frame laws that protect immigrant families as threats rather than safeguards. They rely on fear-based language, vague warnings, and insinuations that suggest danger where none exists. When school board members publicly question the legitimacy of lawful caregiver documents, they are not simply offering criticism. They are creating uncertainty that filters down to school sites and lands squarely on students. That uncertainty reaches classrooms. It reaches front offices. It reaches families who are already under stress. Here is what that uncertainty feels like to families. It feels like being watched instead of supported. It feels like being doubted instead of trusted. It feels like your child's stability depends on politics rather than policy. When families feel that way, they disengage. They communicate less. They hesitate to ask for help. And children absorb the message that their family situation makes them a problem. That is real harm. Some school board members justify this approach by invoking parental rights. But parental rights are not undermined by emergency planning. Parental rights are not threatened by allowing parents to protect their children during a crisis. In fact, parental rights are strongest when parents are trusted to make responsible decisions for their families. What we see instead is selective concern, protection for some families, suspicion toward others, and schools should never operate that way. When board rhetoric creates confusion about lawful procedures, administrators hesitate. When administrators hesitate, staff delay action. And when action is delayed during a crisis, children suffer. A child waits longer to be picked up. A child misses school unnecessarily. A child experiences anxiety that could have been avoided. In these moments, inaction is not neutral. It is harmful. Temecula Valley Unified School District already manages complex family situations every day. Custody orders, guardianships, foster placements, court documents. The caregiver law does not add chaos. It adds clarity. Resistance to that clarity is not about logistics. It is about priorities. So, what should happen now? The district should clearly affirm the law. Staff should be trained consistently. Families should receive transparent communication. And school board discussions should center students, not ideology. But there is another responsibility that does not belong to the district. It belongs to the community. School board members are elected. They are entrusted with oversight of public education, and their decisions shape the daily lives of students, often in ways that families never see until harm is already done. When board members repeatedly prioritize politics over student well-being, it is fair and necessary for the community to notice, not to inflame, not to attack, but to remember. Participation in local school board elections matters. Understanding how board members approach student safety, inclusion, and crisis response matters. Paying attention to whether leaders center children or use them as political symbols matters. Democracy does not end once the votes are counted. It continues through attention, accountability, and informed participation. This is not about telling anyone how to vote. It is about encouraging people to think critically about leadership. Because when school board members fail to put students first, the impact is not abstract. It is felt by children. Children deserve stability. Families deserve dignity. Schools deserve leadership grounded in reality and compassion. This has been Uncorking the Issues, pouring clarity into Temecula Valley politics. I'm Grapevine. And as always, stay informed, stay engaged. And remember that leadership choices echo far beyond the boardroom.